Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Mindshare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. Gray Media, Ontario's premier social media management, marketing, and content creation company. REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. Be sure to check out our sponsors and what they have to offer on our site, mindshare101.com. And a big thank you to you to start off today. We've been seeing a big push from our listeners to leave a review about the show, and it's really, really awesome to see such positive feedback. You are what fuels me to keep this going, and your reviews mean the world to me. If you haven't yet, could you please take a moment to rate and leave a review of the show at ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Speaking of reviews, one of the strategies we teach our one-to-one coaching clients is about how to really achieve that elusive work-life balance and how to really get to everything that you want to accomplish in life. And check this out. Blair, one of our one-to-one coaching clients, says, "It has been my best month yet under your coaching system. I feel very motivated and have been very efficient with my time. I am excited to update my goals every single day." He's doing it. He's living a Monday starts on Sunday lifestyle. He knows exactly what he wants. We created a custom tailored plan to help him achieve all of it. And I'm just super pumped that it's all coming to life for him. See, when you know what you want, when you focus on it, when you have a plan for how to achieve it, that's where true success and happiness live. And Blair, he's living it. See, everybody has something they want to improve on, including me and you. I like helping people succeed, and I want to help you succeed. The talks, the trainings, the videos, this podcast, our one-to-one coaching, they're all for you. If we haven't talked coaching together yet, connect with me. Think about how much further we can go on this journey together with a custom-made system and strategy for you. Learn more about our one-to-one coaching by visiting my site, mindshare101.com, and clicking on Coaching. Today's episode is number 218. He's an executive director with REMAX Canada and works with the regional development team. Prior to joining REMAX in 2017, he was a national franchise sales and development director with Century 21 for nearly 13 years. Beyond his franchising background, he has also taken a lead role in the expansion efforts in AREA, the Asian Real Estate Association of America, Canada. He's done that across Canada through trade, consumer, and real estate events, speaking on behalf of the association. He is also a past vice president and active board director member of the association. His purpose is to give real estate professionals the best chance to be successful. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is Executive Director at REMAX Canada, Kingsley Ma. Kingsley, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I thank you for making the time. I know you're an incredibly busy guy, and just before we got on air, I think you said you've been probably in the air more than you've been at home this past year so far.
Yes. Yes,
Travel's going smooth though. Everything in our airports and everything is going well though.
Yeah, no, things are great actually. I think I missed the whole Christmas. People trying around Christmas time. I didn't travel during Christmas time, and January has been very smooth. Aside from some weather issues, but that's typical Canada travel.
Right? Like, especially at this time of the year, you never know what you're going to get. I know right now we're sitting at 13-degree temperatures. It's raining like crazy outside. Where, a few weeks ago it was like snowing and we were minus 30. Exactly. So go figure. But, we'll take this. It's feeling a little bit more like spring. I like it, which means it's better for travel.
Which is better for travel. Less delays, less sitting at the airport, right? So
Exactly. So, hey, tell me, we were talking off air before we got on. What is your, for anybody that may not know you or know what you're up to over there at REMAX, what is your daily focus with REMAX?
My daily focus is, like you said, really it's just to make sure our broker owners and our agents be successful at what they do. That's really the focus. Because at the end of the day, what we do is, everybody has to win in order for us corporately to win too. So the whole daily focus, what we plan and things like that, doesn't matter if it's training, technology, or anything like that. The focus has to be, will this help our broker owners, or will this help our agents to be successful at what they want to achieve? So that's our focus, really. That's all our focus at the corporate office there.
Hey, listen, you know what? I think it's an important one too, and for everybody to fully understand, right? When we think to ourselves about how do we have growth, like anything else in life, it starts on the street. And when I use the term street, I mean the folks that are actually, call it in the trenches, battling every single day. Is, how do we help them grow? Because if they grow, everybody grows.
Yeah.
And we say the same thing when we're doing events. Our job is to go there and deliver a value-added message. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the people in the seats are feeling good about it, and the people that basically hired us to be there feeling good. Hey, then that allows us to feel good. And I think that it's that win-win-win mentality, right?
Exactly. It's the whole experience, right? So,
absolutely. Now, speaking of all the travel and the responsibilities of trying to help the agents grow, I believe you've got a family, you've got children.
Yes, I got 2 kids, 2 daughters. Yeah,
2 daughters. How old are they?
And older one is 7. The young one is actually a baby. She's 5 months. So I got a big gap in between. Exactly. So, and I still travel.
Hands full too.
Yes, I do. Yes,
well, I was going to ask. That's where I'm going with this whole thing, right? That's where I'm going with it. So, talk to me about how do you manage time?
Well, I live and die by the calendar, right? So, I mean, I put everything in there because there's so many things going on in life, even outside of work, right? You would try to attend as many, dance recitals or lessons that my kid does too, right? Or spend some time with my wife and spend some time on the social media. So these are times that you actually have to schedule, or else things are just going to get, all over the map, right? Because I fly about 100 to 120 flights a year. That's literally how many times I get on a plane. So if I don't schedule, I'm lost, right? I would be so lost if I don't put everything on the calendar. So it's challenging at the beginning, right? Because you got to get used to it. But once you get into the habit of doing it, it's actually pretty good, right? Every morning you just
tell me this, like as you bring that up though, dance recitals, the amount of flights that is just absolutely wild. Living and dying by the calendar, which I very much the same. It's got to be. So when we talk about work-life balance, do you believe it's real? And if so, how do you achieve it? Like what? I guess maybe the process to how you're actually managing and working through the scheduling. I mean, are you preparing things the night before? Have you got an assistant that's scheduling everything for you? How are you going about that? Because I think that's kind of what I want to leave with agents here, or anybody tuned in right now, is we're all busy. And I believe that the excuse of I was busy is just that. It's an excuse. Yeah. I believe as well, though, when you're in control of your calendar, it's not about I was too busy. It's, well, I don't have this time or that time available, but I've got this available. And we're able to really play those musical chairs we need. But talk to me about the work-life balance. And again, your step-by-step to doing that.
Well, it really comes down to 3 things, right? You either do it yourself or you delay whatever it is. So you try to prioritize things, right? If it's something not as important, you delay it. And the third one is, delegate it to somebody else that either can do it better than you or, just things like that. So you go by this, we call it the 3D, right? So do it, delay it, or delegate it. And for the stuff that's more important, then obviously you do it yourself. And those are the priorities, right? And then there are certain things that doesn't come in, in the play, then you kind of delay it and later on on your schedule. But then things that I'm not good at everything, right? And my best time is to focus on things that I am good at. And if there's things that somebody on my team or somebody that I work with is good at it, well, maybe it's best to delegate that job to that person to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't work by myself, right? The success of what we do is because of the team, and we always rely on each other, and vice versa too, right? And that's how time is spent best, right? And most efficient and most effective, right? I mean, life balance, that's a very good question because, a lot of realtors that I actually got to know a lot of realtors that burn out. Because
Absolutely.
a lot of realtors coming into the real estate, they think, I'm in for the money, especially the younger ones. I'm in for the money, right? And I want to do well. I want to earn as much money as possible. But the purpose of being in real estate should be, you should have life goals that kind of blend into it, right? So it could be anything from, I want to be able to buy a house, or I want to provide the best that I can for my family. Like that's really my goal too, right? It's to provide the best for my family. And yes, there's going to be sacrifices in time, and sometimes I miss, certain important days that my daughter is supposed to have and things like that. But but at the end, to avoid that burnout, you have to go back and align with what your purpose of why you're doing this, right? Because if it's straight for money, a lot of people just go, I made my goal, and then I don't know what to do now, right? But I always know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that helps with, not burning out itself.
It's interesting. So I take it that you are a goal setter, and in doing so, that is what really paints the path for what the days and the weeks look like for you, outside of obviously the work.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like every day, it's actually difficult work-wise to make a lot of plans aside from meetings and things like that. Because what we do, a lot of things is, if somebody has a challenge, if a broker has a challenge or an agent has a challenge, they come to us. Those things we cannot schedule in, right? So, right. But saying that, you can always allocate a time during a day to handle those issues, right? So it doesn't have to be scrambling every day. You can be, say for example, if you want to just look after your customers for miscellaneous stuff, an hour a day or 2 hours a day, right? If that's what you think you need, then do that, right? But outside of that, you can still then plan your day, because a lot of real estate agents go, well, I can't plan my day. You can. You absolutely can. Plan your meetings and just schedule a section of your day out and for those unplanned stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that way you get a little handle of what you want to achieve.
I like that thinking there, because I am very much on the exact same mindset. I do truly believe that you can map out what your days look like. Like I remember saying to somebody, or somebody said that to me once, like, man, you don't get it though. Like it just, you got to kind of do what comes your way. And I said, no, like, yes, you want to manage things, but if you allow your day to dictate what you do, you are not in control, and therefore achieving those goals, those dreams, and getting to that end game, whatever it is for anybody that's tuned in, because we all have something different. But getting there is next to impossible because you're allowing the day to dictate you. And so where you might have had a 5-year plan, you might turn it into a 25-year plan because you're allowing the day to dictate what you do. Whereas to what you just said, and I'll sort of reiterate that, is, take a chunk of your time and say, okay, from, 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 or whatever time you choose in your day, I'm going to say that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to deal with, the stuff that comes in that just randomly pops up in my day.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I look at it. I mean, or else if I just let it go, it would just really go loose and I can't do anything, right? So you really have to be somewhat structured.
So when you say this then, and we talk about, the importance of goals, because I also believe that oftentimes when we're setting goals, and you said it, people get into this business for money, we lose the focus on where we really need to be in terms of what goals we want to achieve. And everybody puts money right at the top of the list. Yeah. We don't think about the dance recitals, the hockey games, the baseball games, the date nights with our significant others. Like, people don't value that the exact same way. Yet, when I put this out the other day, life is like a pendulum, right? You've got work or business, and you've got personal. And if one is off balance, then the other one is not getting enough attention. Something is suffering. And at the end of the day, the end result is we're suffering.
Exactly.
And so the belief is having the goals, having the structure around how you manage the day, and therefore you can accomplish more. So what would you say then is the ideal routine for an agent in a day? Just from, again, your learnings, and I know you're out there with a lot of agents, talking to people, finding what their challenges are. What would you say is that ideal routine? Or is there one that you can paint for people?
Well, it depends on the point of your career, right? And for example, if you are a newer agent, so in the morning you should be create. Well, this is what I do. Actually, in the morning, I would spend 15 to 30 minutes just kind of reading the news, real estate news. So that's, imagine that, just spending that 15, 30 minutes a day, how much more you'll know in a year in terms of what real estate is, right? If you're a new agent. And that's all it takes, really. And then what you should do afterwards is, if you're a newer agent, spend a couple hours prospecting. If you're good at making phone calls, then go make phone calls. If you're good at knocking the door, then go knock the door, right? Do what you're good at, right? You talk to different people to learn, but you can only do well with what you're personally good at, what you're confident with. Because the last thing you want if you're prospecting and you're not confident with it, people will hear it. Consumers will know that you're not good at what you do. That's the worst thing possible, because you just ruined your chance to build that relationship right off the bat. And then afterwards, lunchtime. Don't waste lunchtimes, eating your own salad by yourself. Go find somebody to have a lunch with, right? If you're spending that money, and these are just treat it as an investment. That lunch is so important. In my mind, lunches are very important, or meals with a client is so important, because you get to see the person not only just the way they talk, but their body language. Right? Yeah. The body language, how engaging they are. These are little things you can learn, because 60% of, the interaction is actually body language. Only 40% of this is the words itself. But you get to know people a lot better. And even just, I'm not saying go for lunch with a client 365 days a year, but even 100 lunches would make a significant difference in your own community. And then the rest of the day, if you're new, just kind of, handle your own deals and, handle campaigns, organize yourself a little bit. And that's pretty much a fulfilling day for a new agent coming in, right? For more seasoned agents, they probably even have a plan anyways. Everything systemized. They have a CRM software. They likely have a team or assistant to help them plan their day. That's a completely different point in their career, right? Everybody's different, but I would highly recommend new agents speaking with as many seasoned agents as possible. And that's how you learn how you plan your day, because everyone's day is very, very different, right? It works differently. And you mentioned about setting goals, from a real estate standpoint and then your life balance standpoint. Mm-hmm. What people, I think, really forget is, because it's easy to focus on the real estate part because it's quantifiable. They're numbers. Okay, well, if I want to do how many deals, so it takes me 100 calls to get one lead. So I have to make, a couple hundred calls just to get more leads. So these are things that are quantifiable. It's easy. Well, it's easy because it looks like it's something, but family life stuff, it's not. It's more emotional, which is hard for people to plan. Right? Aside from just showing up, you're supposed to kind of deal, right? But those little things are very important, because that's actually life. Your life, your family, your loved ones is your life, not the real estate business, not the dollar amount. You just have to not only show up but participate.
It's true though, right? It's like, okay, I'm sitting here with the kids on the couch, yet I've got my head doing this the whole time. The kids know I am not there. Like, I might physically be there, but I am not emotionally connected in any way.
Yeah.
I think, imagine if you, look, yeah.
I was just going to say, and we're all like that. We grab the phone, and imagine if kids just learn that. And when they grow up, they're going to do exactly the same thing to you.
That's what they're doing though. But that's exactly what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Right. It's that lack of attention, but everything that we're doing, the kids are learning and they're taking from us, and they're going to do it as well. And I think that when it comes to distractions, it comes to understanding what I have to achieve today, both from a personal and a business perspective. The more I allow the distraction device, AKA the phone, to control what I'm doing, the less I'm going to accomplish. And again, 5-year plan turns into a 25-year plan because I'm not focused on what needs to be done in a day. And I agree with you completely. everybody's day is going to be different. Okay. The rhythm is going to be different. When you excel, when are you good at prospecting? What are you good at doing? When are you good at making phone calls? If you're going to make calls, which I advise everybody make your phone calls. Kingsley, you just brought up, going for lunch with people, right? And again, I'm very big on, when you're going to put that lunch in, if it's a 12 to 1 lunch, think about the real time, right? How long did it take you to get there? How long did it take you to drive back? What time are you going to start to wrap up the meeting so you can be out of there at 1 o'clock? Right. And all these things are very, very real. Now, what can I do in the time that it takes me to get there? I could probably make some phone calls while I'm in the car, as opposed to music down or music up, windows down. So we want to try to really maximize the time, because then this is where, when we talk about the kids, it's hard to quantify. Sure. I know for me, that time frame from about 7:30 till 8:30 in the morning, 8:15 is reserved for my children. And that's time where I get to just hang with them, spend some time on the couch, like once they've eaten their breakfast, before they're about to go to school, and just spend the time. And it's kind of a similar thing like later on at night, that 8 to sort of 9:30 time frame, when we're probably done our sports, we finally come home and we get to just hang out. We've got to be in the moment. The distraction devices have to be put down. And I think, again, that this is a big way that people can achieve that balance between work and life, is to really recognize, again, the pendulum, and everybody picturing that is one side more heavily weighted. And in some days, it might be a little bit more heavily weighted, but what we're trying to do is balance that. Right? Now, you talked about going for lunch. And I want to bring that up for a very quick moment, because one of the things that went through my mind is when you say go for 100 lunches a year, let's say, for example, and we're not saying this is the exact target number, everybody tuned in, but
no.
The idea, though, and I'm with you, when you get out there, now you're doing a one-on-one conversation with somebody, you get to see the mannerisms, you get to actually experience the relationship. Number two, when you go out there, you get to meet the people at the restaurant or at the place you went to, which is, again, another opportunity just to say hello and smile. And these are all the positive impacts we put there. Now, you also mentioned, when we talk about lunch, I believe we're really good at feeding our bellies. Right? Like we'll eat. I mean, did you have breakfast this morning?
Yeah, I did. Piece of bread.
Are you planning to have lunch at some point?
Yep. Got a lunch meeting.
You'll probably have dinner. Okay. You'll probably have dinner, right? So it's like, okay. We feed our bellies a lot, but it's that feeding the brain, which you mentioned about, look at the news in the morning. And I kind of like cringed for a second. I'm like, oh, I don't even look at the news on the best of days. But when you said read the real estate news, now you're educating yourself. And I really do agree with that. On so many different levels. I mean, reading books, watching videos, learning from other people. Do you spend a lot of time on this? Because I think that if you do spend 30 minutes a day, you can get through 24 books in a year, which is a lot of food for the brain. So instead of just feeding the belly, we're feeding the brain, and now we're growing. How much time do you spend on this, and how do you feel that it helps you sort of progress through your days?
I think it helps significantly. Even just 15, 30 minutes, like I said earlier, that's significant help to your brain itself. Because at the end of the day, the industry moves forward, regardless if you like it or not. So you either move with it or you stop where you are and fall behind it, right? I mean, that's what I think a lot of realtors don't do, or anybody in business don't do. It doesn't really have to be in real estate. It could be in motivational books or leadership books and things like that. That also still apply very well to what realtors do, because I always think realtors are leaders should be leaders in their own community too. But not everyone's born as a leader, right? But these are things you can learn as you go to get better at it. And secondly, I always think realtors, what they truly offer is not the house itself, right? What realtors truly offer is their experience and their knowledge. That's all you're offering to your clients: experience and knowledge. The knowledge part is where you come from reading or taking courses or educating yourself. And experience is, just as time goes on, that's how you learn things. There's things that you can do better, or things that you failed that you should improve. And, these are the two things that help clients in what they do. And those things build trust, right? Without getting better at your game in those two areas, you're practically not going anywhere, right? So
No, and so would you say that's right there? Like, because I was going to ask you, like, what do you believe the purpose of a realtor is? And you're saying knowledge and experience,
Yeah. To
right?
provide knowledge and experience to their clients.
Right. And be able to, again, lead their clients down the right road because of what they've got there. Now, I know there's some people out there going, well, what if I'm brand new in the industry? I don't have the experience. But this is where I'd come back and say, well, one, you've already suggested to people, go read real estate news. Two, you suggested to people, go speak to people that have been around the game for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So for newer agents, I mean, they come in and go, well, I don't really have a advantage compared to seasoned agents. Well, you have less. It is true, but it doesn't mean you don't have any, right? There's two things you should think about, especially if you're newer, is first of all, everybody's unique. Your competitive advantage is your personality. It's not the system, not the platform, because these are all can be duplicated, but your personality cannot be duplicated, right? And go with it, right? Go with what you're good at and if you are good with numbers, focus on that. Provide facts to your clients, right? If you're good with, being lovey-dovey, being personal, buy those little gifts, do those little things, right? Say happy birthday, send a video. Like if you're those type of people, then do that, right? And if you're big on networking, then go out and have as many lunches as you want, right? Yeah. Focus on what you are good at. And that's very important. That is your ultimate competitive advantage. Nobody can duplicate it. And it doesn't matter if you're new or seasoned, right? So
that's a great point. That's a great point that you bring up, though. And I think that people really need to dig into, and look, an action step for everybody here, based on what Kingsley just mentioned, would be to create your lifestyle list. Understand more about who you are. Don't just think about it. Don't just, say, oh, I know who I am. Like, write it down, right? Really internalize it. That if you were about to hand that in as an exercise, and people looked at it, they would get a sense of like, that is who you are. And as long as you're comfortable sharing that, now you can start to leverage and go, well, knowing who I am more, I can also write down the things that I like and the things that I don't like. And maybe think about an experience where you were purchasing a vehicle or purchasing a television or purchasing a home with somebody else or purchasing whatever. Go through that experience and say, how did you go about it? What were some of the things that you experienced from other people that went about it? Again, what do you like? What do you love? Going back to your lifestyle list, who are you? And there you're going to be able to formulate a better idea of, again, what that personality really looks like in terms of what you do. Again, I'm the guy on Sunday when Super Bowl Sunday, I went into the butcher shop, which is the local butcher shop in my neighborhood. I went in there and the guys know me. It's a small little spot. It's a great spot, but I went in right away, started talking, said, what's up to everybody. Now I'm talking to the guys behind the counter. They know me by name. So right away, when they say, hey, Dave, what do other people in the store look at? They look at Dave, right? Oh, they know this guy. Then I talk to them. Then what I start talking about, hey, who you taking for the football game? Now everybody behind the counter is talking to me about the football game. Well, what happens? The people in front of the counter are also talking to me about the football game. Then I pick up the phone and I do a little Instagram story, which I always do for these guys.
Yeah.
The people in person started to get to know who I was. I then did the Instagram story and tagged them. What happened? Sent that out. They reposted that on their channel. So all their social media people also saw who I was. Why? Full circle here for you. Because my personality is I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make sure that I say hi to people. I'm going to make sure that people kind of recognize, because it's just who I am. It's not that everybody has to be that, but I know who I am. So I know I have no fear of having that conversation. And now I got a bunch of eyeballs in person and a bunch of eyeballs on social media that just elevates the amount of mind share I'm building. The more that happens, which it happens often with those guys, because every time I go in, I tag them, they share me out, the more comfortable their people get with me. Like you said a moment ago, trust starts to be established.
Exactly.
Right.
And one of the things that you just mentioned is finding the common denominator, right? Between yourself and other people. What is the common denominator? In your case, in that specific case, it was the Super Bowl football, right? Then after that, what you did was basically expanding, just helping others get it out there too, and connecting with other people, using that common denominator that you have with other people. So, everybody's got a life. Somebody's got to love some kind of sports, whether it's hockey, basketball, football, right? It's very common, and just kind of leverage those groups and connect yourself with them. And it's that way. In that way, you're you're doing activities that you like too, along with real estate, instead of doing things that you don't like. Just like if I would never be in a dance show and then connecting with people talking about dance. I just can't do it. I just can't do it, right? If you talk about basketball, hockey, great. And cars, great. But, I would just connect with people that I think I have common interest with.
Well, there's where the lifestyle list comes from, right? Because it's like whenever I ask, like, what do you know about me? People yell out hockey and baseball and my Harley, and some people even go deep enough to understand that I love my pizza and I love like smoking meat on the bar on the smoker. I love barbecuing. You see, I love hanging with my children. Like it's something that I talk about often. I put it out there, and I mean it's find those commonalities, right? I mean, are you originally from the West Coast?
Yes, I grew up in Vancouver.
Okay. So are you a Canucks fan?
I'm okay. I'm not like a big Canucks fan, but I have to be because I'm in Vancouver. I can't be a Maple Leaf fan.
Well, no, I mean everybody's deep down a Maple Leafs fan, Kingsley. Like everybody's listen. I live and die by my team, right? But here, the point is this. We could sit here and talk hockey now, completely out of business conversation, and talk hockey all day long and just go off about that. Or if you did watch the Super Bowl the other day, we could talk about that. And that's again, when you find out who you are with your commonalities, you find people who've got commonalities. And I hear it all the time from folks like, yeah, but they want me to drop my commission. And like, I really, I don't get along with these people so well, but I'm like, but what? You just want the money, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, sometimes you just got to find your people and be able to say, you know what? It's not my people right now.
Yeah. Like the worst thing is to try. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say the worst thing is to try to cater to everybody because you never will be able to.
I was about to ask you, like, what would you suggest is from just what you do and being out there, and it may be totally separate to what we're talking about here, but in terms of like an agent's biggest challenge?
Agent's biggest challenge. Well, aside from one of them is the burnout. The other one is going through different cycles of the real estate market. The reality is, real estate market is always proven that it goes up and down. There are good times and bad times. But the thing is, during the bad times is where agents mostly struggle because, especially ones that never been through one of those bad times, and they get lost. They don't know what to do. Well, there's a couple ways to go about it. One is to talk to people that have gone through it. And two is during those bad times are times where you need to go out there and prospect a little bit more than you used to. Because during good times, you're always writing offers. You're just, getting the operation side done. Not so much the planning side, because things are just coming to you. But during bad times, you have time to plan and execute and be a little bit creative. Things that you always wanted to try in business, but you never did, right? Those are good times to kind of try that and create your own niche from that sense, right? Because, the good real estate agents, good or bad times, they always do very well. And there's a reason for that, is because they keep grinding it out, right? They just shift their plan a little bit and they keep prospecting. And, it's like wintertime, right? You just kind of hibernate, stay warm, but keep yourself ready for when the weather gets warmer, and then you're out there better than everybody else. There's a lot of people coming into the industry now, a little bit more worried, because I'm new, I don't know what to do, and market's really bad right now. But these are actually times that you have more opportunities to establish yourself, right? It doesn't matter if it's from marketing perspective or anything like that. Just be out there, connect with people. So once the market changes and people are looking to buy and sell, they'll look to you, right? So I think the biggest challenge is during these cycles, people just have to find ways to get through it.
Would you say in terms of this cycle that we're in at the moment, what is your take on the market? Good, bad, normal? What's your thoughts?
I personally think the market is actually healthier now. I know real estate agents are not getting those deals, left, right, and center like they have been for the last year and a half or 2 years and so forth. But it's actually healthier because for the consumers, it gives them choice. That's why I said it's healthier, right? It gives them a chance to write a clause in there, gives them a chance to negotiate a proper price.
It's true, though.
It is very true, because back then everybody's overbidding, no clause, and you don't even know what you bought, really, because you didn't even do an inspection.
It was, and look, the way I look at this market right now, I mean, somebody had coined this perfectly the other day. First, and prior to bringing that up, I'd say I don't think there's a bad market whatsoever. If people said, is it a good market? I think there is good in this. I think there definitely is good. And maybe, the agents are looking saying, well, it's bad because I'm not getting deals done in 30, 60, 90 seconds. But let's look at reality in this industry over the course of the lifespan of real estate. A fair market is a 30, 60, 90 day where you've got, a deal on the table and you're working through it. And I mean, back to what we said before about experience, right? Knowledge. I also believe marketing and negotiating are some of the big parts here, because you're there to help either your seller market that house and or your buyer/seller negotiate the best deal for themselves. When we go back to the market we had over the past 2 years, you just said it. The conditions, nobody knew what was going on. It was just put more money, go into it blindly and hope for the best, because if we don't, somebody else will. And I think that was a dangerous way to buy houses. I think it was running people into issues. I think financing issues rose up because of that. I think now we're in a good spot. This is weeding out the people that don't want to do the work. And you said that earlier, right? If you stay consistent and you continue to do like those seasoned agents, they've got their system. It's the ones that come in that believe that, one social media post or, one whatever, no phone calls. It's going to be a tough slug for the duration of your career in this business. So I believe we're in a fair market. We're in a good market, a fair market, let's call it. Somebody else the other said it's not a good market. It's not a bad market. It's a professionals market. And I thought, I like that.
I like that too. It's a professional.
Think about it, right? Like if you're going to take this seriously, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean,
it's an interesting one, right?
You look at the market even between February 2021 and February 2021 and February 2022. The market actually went up 39% in Canada on an average. I mean, that's bananas, right? That shouldn't be happening. Let's put it that way. It shouldn't be happening.
That's exactly it. That was where my fear around financing came in and all those like non-conditions, because you're thinking you're offering on a property where you can only offer X. All of a sudden the number's gone up because of multiples and you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to find financing for it. Hello, you're going to have to renew that at some point. That's the part that scares me.
Yeah. But I think overall the market-wise, it is relatively, like you said, it's fair, and I think it's healthy because we did some research on the loan-to-value ratio across the board. It's 50-60%, which is healthy because basically that means people have close to 50% of their equity in there, right? And then the loan is only half of it, so which is good instead of 20% down and 80% loan. That's bad, right? That's because that's an important thing, because it tells us what kind of, are we going to crash? Is the market going to crash? But at this ratio percentage, that means it's going to be stable throughout, right? These are key numbers that we need to look at in terms of what we should be expecting from here onwards.
I agree completely. That's something I was looking at the entire time throughout, the past 2 years, let's call it 2021, 22 kind of thing, going, we got to watch, because it's not the right now, but to me, it was like the 3 to 5 years from now when people start coming up for the renewal and going, can I afford to do that? And if they cannot, what are they going to look to do? They're going to look to get rid of that property. If they got to get rid of that property fairly quickly, now what happens is the prices start to get impacted just based on speed, right? And necessity from people. So good. I think things are in a good place right now. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I also believe that if you dive into your database properly, because we have said it's a relationship business, you dive into that database properly, I believe that there are deals sitting there that you just got to go get right now. And if you're not making the phone calls, you're going to miss opportunity.
Yeah. And create those opportunities too, right? There's lots of opportunities that you can create as a real estate agent.
Absolutely. And this actually a good little segue here to the question around social media as a specific right now. We've talked about learning. We've talked about finding your places and finding your people. Would you say social media is a good place to spend time, and sort of that time between learning versus aimless scrolling? Like, and maybe I'll double this down. Is it a good place to spend time? Is it just a place we need to be to help our brand build? Is it a complete waste of time? And how do you suggest people maximize their time?
I think social media is a great place to spend time, to answer your first question.
Okay.
Now, saying that, I'm not asking you to spend hours and hours every day on social media. I'm asking you to spend I think half an hour is sufficient for a lot of people.
Agreed.
Unless you run a large team or something like that, that's different. That's a different scenario. And the worst thing is, you use social media as an advertising vehicle, straight up. Imagine if you have a friend on Facebook and a realtor friend, and all they post is their listings. You're about to unfriend them.
Yeah, it's true though.
You're about to unfriend them. That's the worst thing, I guess. But I see that a lot, like in real estate agents, right? All they put down is, I just got to be on there. I'll just upload it. But you have an offline personality, a reality personality, like in your real life. But it's about how you bring that into the online game, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a mix of things, right? It's not listings. It could be photos where you're doing or what you're doing. It could be videos. It could be interviews you're doing with a coffee shop owner. It could be, there's a miscellaneous. You got to have a balance of things, right? Yes, you can put a listing up. I'm not saying don't put it all, but you just have a good mix of things. It's about for people to learn who you really are online. I think that's the important part of it. I personally spend, like I said, about half an hour a day to engage people. So not only do I post things, but I do scroll and see what the people I know, that what they're up to and things like that. If it's a birthday, I say happy birthday. If it's a congratulations, I say congratulations, right? And one of the little things that I do too is, every morning Facebook, that's where the most amount of demographics in real estate are. If I see someone that's having their birthday, because Facebook tells you just about everything you need to know about a person.
Everything.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It's scary. And instead of posting on the person's wall saying happy birthday, do a video. Just pick up your phone. Just say happy birthday, have a fantastic day or whatever, and just hit send. That's probably faster than most people type. You think about it. And it's far more effective because on people's wall, you get a couple hundred people and you will miss it. But videos, I would guarantee you're down to maybe 10, 15 people that would send a video to the person and say happy birthday. These are little
on top of the fact that you're taking up the entire screen too. When you do that video, you're going to take up that whole screen now. So the real estate, no pun intended here, maybe the real estate you're taking up, there's a lot more of it. You're being seen by even all the other people posting as well, most likely. Exactly.
So little things like that you can do on social media that kind of present your personality out there, right? And engage people. So I think social media is a fantastic way, but you need your real life has to match it, right? Because you can't talk the talk on social media, but in real life, you're like, I don't really talk much, right? But that doesn't work too. So be who you are on social media. It's not just trying to be a keyboard warrior and say whatever you like, right? So
that, and you bring up a great point there, because I think what we see a lot from the industry, one is a lot of people are scared. There's a fear around putting themselves out there. And I think a big part of that is either fear of the keyboard warrior who's going to come and attack you for maybe saying something that they don't agree with. B is by looking at the, call it, I guess, quote unquote, competition you have out there and going, oh my God, look at those videos she puts out. They're amazing. I couldn't do that. I can't even do video. Then I'm going to stay away from this right now. And I really believe that, again, in sort of an underlying tone of what we've been speaking about today is like giving yourself the best chance to win means focus on you, be who you are, take that and then, leverage that in the best way possible to help the people that you help. Don't worry about everybody else out there.
Yeah. You can't worry about everybody else out there, right? As long as you have your core value set, whatever it is, can be, helping others or things like that, and stay with your core values. I think eventually, I mean, it takes time to kind of build that reputation up, but over time, more people will get to know who you are, and they start to build that trust. Trust is not something where I am this today, and you got to trust me on it. No, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you.
Right? It takes time,
but it takes time. It takes effort, right? So, and you can very much present that on social media, and it's such a great vehicle to expand your network, right? Because if you're in real life, there's only so much you can do to talk to people, so many hours you can talk. But in social media, like this, we could be talking to a couple hundred people right now, right?
Absolutely.
So,
oh yeah, no, and I mean that's the beauty of something like this, is that it does talk to hundreds of people. It then talks to thousands of people because it stays there, but it's real, and that's part of it as well. And from what you're saying, and again, I would echo that: be who you are. Right? When people actually look at the content that you're putting out there, don't be scared to share who you are personally. Obviously, be wary if it's Friday night, Saturday night, you're out there partying with your friends and you had a couple of drinks. No, it's not the right time to record the video right now, right? Much the same though. It's like the next day, or you're out with people, you can share some of this. You don't have to share the inner workings. I mean, I always use the example of date night when I go with my wife, right? I'll take a photo. We went on date night. I'm not going to tell you what we talked about. I'm not even necessarily going to tell you the restaurant we ate or what we ate. But I might just share that I went out with my wife and did anything. And it was just nice. And these are the little things to let people in, to make people understand that you are grounded, you are a real person, as opposed to some of the facade that can be put on through video, through social media channels. Now, as you talk about trust, big word, obviously, like if and if anybody wants to get more listings, you need trust. Nobody's going to trust you if they have, or give you a listing if they don't trust you. Yeah. But I want to bring up the brand for a moment, because the moment I got like an executive director of the biggest, most well-known real estate brand in the world, on this planet, on the show. And I thank you again for the time. That lapel you're wearing right there, for those of you listening to the audio right now, he's got the balloon, and all I got to tell you is the balloon. And I know that you already know which company I'm talking about. But what's your thoughts here on agents who build their own brand versus using the traditional branding, red, white, blue, of the most, again, well-known, recognized real estate brand? And this is not a knock on any of the other brands out there. There's a lot of great brands. Where I'm going, though, is bottom line, I could put that lapel pin on and people would assume I sell real estate, and I could go anywhere on this planet and people would know what I do. So what's your thoughts on, again, building our own brand versus leveraging what's already here?
I think, well, first of all, whatever brand you're building, regardless of, a franchise brand or personal brand, the first thing you should think about is, does it impact the consumer's perspective? Right? Your clients, or your potential clients' perspective. Because that's the biggest, that's all it's about, right? Because if consumers trust what you do, they will come to you. And if you have to educate them all over again, well, that's very difficult, right? You have to get to, as we know, we talked about it, and it takes time to get to learn somebody, for somebody to trust you. But I guess with REMAX, or it could be Century 20, it could be Sutton, could be Home Life, could be Roll Up Page. Every brand has built a perception in the minds of their consumers, right? There's, the type of agents are different. And I can't speak on behalf of other brands, but for REMAX, our perception's always been looking after the interest of the consumers. And that's what we've always focused on. We're the professionals. We hope we are the standards of real estate. And that's the image that we've portrayed. And it took, it's 50 years for REMAX this year. So it took 50 years to be to get to where we are today, right?
Overnight success.
Definitely not overnight success.
Right.
50 years.
Is there such thing, though? Is there such thing, right?
There is no such thing. It's, and realtors, just based on the balloon itself, imagine this. And I'm just going to use REMAX as an example because I'm in REMAX.
Yep.
Imagine this. If you were the pin out there and on a daily basis, if you cannot generate a deal or 2 extra deals a year, I'd be surprised. And that's how powerful a brand is, or it can be, right? Because people would just come to you, hey, you work for REMAX, and you talk about the real estate market, yada, 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 right? They might not be ready to buy today or sell today, but one day they will be. And they will find you that when the day comes. It depends on your answer too, right? And how professional you are. But that itself already got you in to the conversation of real estate to demonstrate yourself. And for personal branding itself, and I know there's a lot of teams that, like to brand themselves, and social media has made it a lot easier for people to brand themselves, because now they're not paying thousands of dollars for a billboard or a bus ad or a newspaper ad. Like, back in the day, it costs a lot more to build your brand, right? So social media has lessened that cost to build your own image. And that's why, there's a lot of teams out there that's build their own brand and things like that, and, sharing what they do, and people start to get aware of what they do. But like a franchise brand and a personal brand can very much coexist, because a franchise brand is for us, is a national, international brand. So it doesn't matter where you go, like you said, people know. But for an agent's personal brand, it's also important for your own community. Just like if I'm an agent, who is Kingsley Ma? Yes, we know Kingsley's with REMAX. If I'm an agent, everybody knows Kingsley's with REMAX because he wears that pin every day. But who is Kingsley, right? And that's where the personal branding does come in too, to kind of go with it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, yes, you got into the door, but you still need to present yourself better than even other REMAX realtors.
No, it's true, though. It's true. Look, as I'm driving down the street and I'm seeing real estate signs, we've seen other companies use the red, white, and blue to just emulate, because of the notoriety that brand has already developed within the industry over the span of 50 long years. I think for the people that are creating their own brand, I can understand the allure to that a little bit. I can understand that, and I can understand position that in front of their own specific audience. Much the same when I'm driving down the street and I see that for sale sign. If it's in a different color that is not easily recognizable to me in terms of what is the brand, who is the brand, it may not establish the same amount of trust. Whereas if I'm driving down the street and I see the REMAX sign, or some other brands, obviously, but I see that sign, I go, immediately it's legitimized. So there's an element that's you've already taken a step ahead for people, right?
Exactly.
So I think, again, there's a balance, a balance that has to be achieved in terms of how it's leveraged. Much the same. I look at sort of this recognition of the brand. We've been talking about trust, and reputation, personalities, serving clients, and all of this really ties back. And I think that the red, white, and blue certainly does a great job for agents to do that. So just wanted to get your quick perspective on that. But just keeping an eye on the clock here, I want to almost rapid fire this question at you.
Okay.
And I bring this up because this is something that I have seen change in real estate over the past probably 10 years. But I only believe it's changed because of the fact that the social media channels have been over amplified by people's personal promotion. Biggest buzzword in real estate, is it still repeat and referral, or has lead gen completely taken over? And which one do you actually feel is more advantageous to agents?
Repeat and referral by a long shot.
Done.
Is still the most advantageous, because you can talk to just about any high producer out there. I can probably say at least 70 to 80% of their business comes from repeat and referral, right? Some even go as high as 90% repeat and referral.
Yep.
And lead generation is important if you're more, I guess, as a newer realtor. Yes, and your percentage of lead generation is higher. But at the end of the day, that's not your goal. Yes, I mean that's ultimately not your goal, especially online and things like that. I mean, yeah, you should be in the online space to generate leads. There's no harm of getting a couple deals more a year. That's awesome, right? But that's not your bread and butter, right? It's the people that you've had a chance to work with over the years. Stay in touch with them, stay close with them, and remind them of who you are and what you do. And the deals will come, right? So by a long shot. Long shot.
Yeah. Okay. No. Listen, and I can spend a lot of time talking with about this. It's just keeping an eye on the clock here. To me, it's just been one of these things in the industry where we know that repeat and referral is the gold. Yet for some reason, again, through the hype and maybe people wanting to be the keyboard warrior and stay behind the screen as opposed to get out there in front of people, maybe not like door knocking and open houses and making phone calls and everything else and going for lunches. All of a sudden, lead gen took over. And now everybody's going, I got to generate leads. Well, yeah, but you also got to convert those leads. And the conversion process really happens through actually communicating with people and getting to know people. And that's where repeat and referral business comes from. Anyhow, I could rant about that for a while. I just do believe efforts. I believe money. I believe it's all better spent focusing on repeat referral than it is on total strangers. But maybe another conversation to dive in deeper together on another time.
Sure.
Question for you, and this is a question I like to ask all of our guests at the end of the show. End of the day, how do you know it's been a successful day for you?
How do I know it's a successful day for me?
Yes.
Well, a successful day for me, and it should be a happy one, I guess, is how many people I've actually helped that day or made an impact for them that day. Right? It can be just one or two things. It can be just a couple of people. It doesn't have to be 100 people. But at the end of the day, do you feel good about your day? Right? And do they feel good about what you've done for them? I think those are very important to identify what a successful day is.
We are, thank you. Again, I say this, and I know my listeners who are regular listeners like, okay, Dave, we got it. But Kingsley, I like to ask the question. We get some, including yourself, we are fortunate to get some absolutely amazing guests on the show. And I love to ask the question, super successful people up and coming, what does success look like? And there's not a single person yet who has mentioned the word money when I talk about success. So I loved your answer about helping people, hence the fist pump. It's hey man, it's what it comes down to. And it's just an amazing thing to listen to because again, for the amount of people that might want to go down the road of like, well, I did a deal. And yeah, we all love doing deals for sure. Yet if I truly believe, and this goes right back to the top of today's convo with goals about work-life balance, right? I really believe that we always put too much of a stake on money where we need to look at happiness. We need to look at self-fulfillment. We need to look at feeding that brain of ours and making ourselves better. Because when we make ourselves better, we're able to help more other people get better. And while money is not the thing that's going to make you smile at the end of the day, it really is going to come back to gratification in that sense. So I thank you for that answer.
Yeah, no problem.
Any share some final words just as we sign off today. Where can people find you? Have you got any final tips that you might say to people? Hey, get out there and build mindshare doing this. Just give us some final words, please, sir.
Well, first, like I said, mentioned earlier, listen to podcasts, listen to things, get yourself educated, and this is a very good podcast to listen to get yourself educated because you over 200 episodes. That's a lot of knowledge and experience of how many people you've been on here, right? Similar to this, there's exactly. So, to end it, just have grit, right? I always go with this theory is that, bad times is only a process. It's not your destination. So during bad times, as long as you keep grinding, keep focusing on what your goal is, at the end of the day, things will be better. And that's where your destination should be, right? So if you have that mindset, it's highly unlikely you'll break down in between, right? So have grit and keep plugging away and just be authentic, be you. Last thing you want is not to be yourself when doing and then you hate whatever you're doing, right? So so those are my tips. But thank you for having me here. And anybody that wants to contact me, kingsleyma@remax.ca is the email address, or you can find me on Facebook or on Instagram. I am Kingsley Ma, that's what they call the handle. That's my handle.
You sure are, my friend, and I thank you sincerely for making the time to join me today. Some great insights shared, and I do want to double down on that and encourage everybody. Follow me on Instagram. I am Kingsley Ma. Myself and my team did a lot of research on looking at the Insta and LinkedIn and the Facebook. Just an extension. Today was an extension to the amazing message that you do share out there with everybody. So thank you for all you're doing for the industry and in helping people become even more successful. And once again, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you.
You're either watching us live, you're watching this recording, or you're listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle, a 31-page ebook, including your free 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you get more market share. A reminder as well that if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event, and or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with us. We'll set up a consultation call. We'll learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we will help you do just that. Don't forget, be sure to go over to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Leave us a nice review, rate the show. We'd be super grateful. And connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101, as well as on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems, Gray Media, and REM Magazine for sponsoring the Mindshare podcast. Be sure to visit our site to learn more about what these powerful companies will do to help you grow your business. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.